Okay, chapter 5.2, The Empire of Ghana. So this chapter and this lesson deals with three big ideas. The first one being the vegetation zones of West Africa. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at those. Well, first of all, we need to know what a vegetation zone is. So vegetation zones are regions that have certain types of plants. So for example, think about in North America, we have different plants here than, let's say, the rainforest, the Amazon rainforest. So a vegetation zone are the plants that live and grow in that area. So Africa has three major vegetation zones, and you can see them here on the map. We have the desert, specifically the Sahara Desert. We have the savanna, which is the light green section that you see here. And then finally we have the rainforest, or sometimes called tropical forests, and that's the dark green area. So it's really important to remember that when we're talking about West Africa, we're talking about this area right here. So it's the region that includes a layer of the Sahara, the savanna, and the rainforests. Okay, so why are these vegetation zones so important? Well, different vegetation zones affected West Africa because different resources were available in each zone. So people had to trade with one another to get the resources that they needed. So let's take a look at the three vegetation zones. So the first one is the Sahara, and it covers a third of the continent. You could see it all in orange here on the map. So around 380, traders began using camel caravans to cross the desert, to travel across the desert. And the reason why they used camels was because camels can go long distances without food or water, unlike horses or donkeys or other animals that need to get quite a bit of food and quite a bit of water in their system. Now, in terms of resources, really, the Sahara had one main resource, and that was salt. That was about it. There really wasn't much else in the desert. Now, the other vegetation zone, the rainforest, that's the dark green area. This vegetation zone, besides having a lot of plants and animals that we know in the rainforest, it is also known for having rich deposits of gold. And in fact, since gold was so valuable, the miners kept the location of the gold mines a secret. And this is a very smart move on their part, and we'll talk about that a little later on. So the third vegetation zone is the savanna, and the savanna is flat grasslands near rivers, and this is a great location for growing crops and raising cattle. It's kind of that in-between area. And so the people of the savanna actually kind of thought to themselves, here we are, we're smushed in between the rainforest and the desert. How could we make a profit from this? And in fact, that's how the Empire of Ghana became wealthy, was because of their location. So before we move on to Ghana itself, let's do a quick checkpoint. Can you match the desert, the savanna, and the rainforest to its resource? So pause this video, take a moment, see if you can match the resource to the vegetation zone. Okay, did you match them correctly? The Sahara has salt, the savanna has cattle and crops, and the rainforest has gold. Okay, so again, you could see here you've got the salt in the Sahara and the gold in the rainforest, and the trade that started to develop was known as the Trans-Saharan trade. Trans-Saharan literally means across the Sahara. So traders would cross the Sahara Desert into this region in the savanna to trade their salt for gold. Yes, you heard that right. Gold for what? Gold for salt. And you might think to yourself, why would anyone want to trade gold for salt, like table salt, regular salt that we have today? Well, three different reasons. First of all, salt is an important nutrient that your body needs. You need to have a certain amount of salt in order to survive. Also, it makes food taste better. Think about having French fries without having salt on them. Not as good. And then finally, it helps preserve food. And this is kind of the most important reason because if you're in the rainforest, it's hot, it's humid, your food is going to get spoiled a lot quicker. So by having salt and by adding salt to it, it's going to preserve it and make it last a lot longer. Remember, they don't have refrigerators or freezers, so they can't just put their beef into the fridge. And in fact, salt was so valuable that traders from the rainforest would be willing to trade 1 pound of gold for 1 pound of salt. It was an even trade. That's how important salt was to them. Okay, so we talked about the vegetation zones. Now we're going to get into the growth of Ghana. So how did this civilization grow? Well, if you remember here, we have the people in the savannah that are thinking the Sahara has salt, the people in the rainforest have gold. What can we make a profit, or how can we make a profit? Well, what they did, the people of Ghana was the city that grew in the savannah region between the Sahara and the rainforest. It developed along the Niger River, and basically what they did was they provided a safe trading place where gold and salt traders could obtain food, water, and shelter. So they provided the spot where the trading actually happened. And in exchange for safety, Ghana taxed the traders. So Ghana's capital, Kumba-Salé, became a thriving, wealthy capital of the empire. So basically, if you think about it here on this map, you have the Sahara Desert, and you have the salt coming across the desert, and then you have the gold coming across the rainforest, and both ended up in Ghana. Well, Ghana would collect taxes from the salt and from the gold traders. So in reality, Ghana did not become wealthy because they had items to trade. They became wealthy because they taxed the traders from the rainforest and the desert. All right, big idea number 3, Islam in Ghana. So Berbers were traders from North Africa that spoke Arabic and practiced Islam. They were the ones that had the salt to trade. They introduced the religion of Islam to Ghana, and they also introduced the written language of Arabic to West Africa or Ghana, and they brought scholars that would teach Islam, the religion, and Arabic, the language, to the people of Ghana. So some kings even converted to Islam or combined their traditional beliefs with Islam. On top of that, many Muslims, so those are the people that practice Islam, became important advisors to Ghana kings. They also, in Ghana, they used Arabic in the government, and many laws reflected Islamic values. So Ghana's upper class accepted Islam, they learned to read the Quran and write in Arabic. So Islam became an important part of Ghana. Okay, and then finally, kind of looking at the collapse of Ghana, what happened to the empire? Well, a group known as the Almoravids, which is a group of North African Muslims, came to power in the 11th century. And basically they attacked Ghana. And so once Ghana was under attack, very few people wanted to trade in Ghana because it wasn't safe anymore. So this weakened the Trans-Saharan Trade Network. Eventually the Almoravids seized the capital in 1076, and this ultimately led to the end or to the collapse of the Ghana Empire. Okay, if you want to know more, or if you need some clarification, you could view the textbook author's notes. There's a link there. Or you could also watch, I have a video clip here available for you that talks about Ghana in a little bit more detail.